Hello, hello, and welcome back to Senior Sendoff's Black Women Edition. In this second episode, we dive deep with our interviewees to explore just the roles that identities can have throughout your time in college, and if some at all may be overrepresented or underrepresented.
In this episode, we'll be interviewing Stephanie, Anovu, Yvonne, and Hayat to answer this one question. What identities, if any, do you feel are heightened by your college environment and why?
Yeah, I think being Nigerian has again also heightened it, or I've also heightened my Nigerian identity through my college experience, just because I'm from Texas where there is a lot of Nigerians, my school wasn't crazy Nigerian in terms of there was a lot of African American people, and that caused me to assimilate in that way. In terms of sometimes I would write Stephanie O period and not say the rest, just to protect myself in a way. And also in years ago, being African was not the vibe in any environment. So being here, Nigeria being celebrated with NSA Gala, all these events, it showed that being Nigerian is something to be proud of. So I was very excited when I saw so many Nigerians here, and it allowed me to connect a lot more with my cultures. Definitely learned about a lot more tribes, a lot more foods, a lot more music, and to me that made Harvard worthwhile.
I think that I didn't even know what it meant to be generational African American until I came to this school. I was having a conversation with one of the students, and I asked them where they were from, and they were like, I don't know. My ancestors were stolen. So I don't know where I'm from. And I think that I had never even heard that identity phrased that way, and it's such a heavy thing to think about. And I think it's something that's really on the minds of a lot of generational students. And as somebody that's half Nigerian and half generational, I think that pre-college, I maybe would have phrased it as if I grew up in a single parent household and my parent was Nigerian and my grandmother's Nigerian. So that Nigerian influence was just there. But I think it's more there's a sort of privilege that's attached to being directly tied to the African diaspora, because you can directly kind of correlate with that cultural aspect because of the proximity to the motherland, versus generational African American students just don't have that same kind of opportunity. And so I think it forced me to reckon with that identity in a different way and kind of understand that experience. In terms of identities that are heightened though, I think just my overall Blackness, I'm just so overtly pro-Black. Anybody, you can't get through a conversation with me without me mentioning the impact of my Blackness at Harvard and my experience as a Black woman also navigating STEM. That has been a huge part of my identity here. And I think that also the whole wokeness kind of era that accompanied my senior year of high school transitioning into college, where I was starting to learn a lot more about just the history of racism in America and how institutional it is. That really shifted my perspective to a lot of situations where I wasn't even privy to how deeply ingrained it is in American society. And so I think that meeting other individuals who also recognize that, it really felt very validating, as opposed to high school when I was trying to kind of talk about these things in spaces that didn't have Black people, that also just didn't have Black people, period. It was difficult for my voice to be heard in those situations. But now being around peers who understand that, I think that definitely had an impact on my Black identity. But yeah, I wouldn't say one aspect of it has been heightened more than the other. I think it's just more I'm super pro-Black on everything.
My identity as a Black academic, I feel, has been heightened by my college experience. As I said before, I grew up in a predominantly white area, and I was the only Black kid in any of my advanced classes. So being able to experience learning in a more diverse community, I didn't think I would say that was something at Harvard, but being able to share this experience with other people of my same cultural background has been amazing. A lot of my study groups and people that I've gotten to know through my classes have had a shared experience like me and a shared cultural experience. So I think that is something that's been heightened by my academic experience here.
I think two identities that I feel are heightened by my college experience is first my Muslim identity. I think it's been interesting navigating college as a visibly Muslim woman, because it impacts your interactions, impacts how others view you. But it's also allowed me to have like a lot more pride in my Muslim identity and have that be like a source of joy for me to be a very visible Muslim woman. I also think like the intersection of my identities, being Black and Muslim, has been heightened by my college experience. I'm from Minneapolis, and most Black people and most Muslim people in Minneapolis are Somali, so I feel like everyone around me was Black and Muslim. So it's been interesting to see how like that intersection is unique here and how it's impacted like how I navigate both of those communities and handle being a member of both communities.